You are listening to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast, episode 248. Welcome to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast, where we take a research-based, trauma-informed, and results-focused approach to quitting porn. This approach has been revolutionary and changed thousands and thousands of lives. I'm your host, Sarah Brewer.
Welcome back to the podcast episode this week. I'm Hunter Garrett, one of the coaches here at the Center for Overcoming, and I'm so excited to join you this week. Before we get started, I really wanted to share a few personal quotes from some clients that we have had here at the center. On our coaching calls, I love to, get to know our clients, and I like to get to know you. I think it's super fun. And at the beginning of last week, I shared with them, hey, does anybody have any thoughts that they want to share? I'd love to share with our listeners here on the podcast. I wrote them down for you guys so you can listen to the successes that we are experiencing here at the center. So one client said, I tried for so long to avoid my emotions and push them under, and it just does not work. Since jumping into the program, I've learned to face my emotion and know that it's not going to hurt me. I love it. Here's another one. I finally have been able to know when and how to identify my emotions. Holy smokes. Oh, it's so simple. It's so powerful. This last one that I wrote down is finally noticing that my pornography use is a distraction from something else. I now know that when uncomfortable emotions come up, I can sit with them without buffering with them. Oh man, I love that. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for those of you that were able to share and were willing for me to share those quotes. And if you guys are not in the program yet, I encourage you to jump in. There's so much success and love and support here that be crazy if you didn't jump in. So I'm here for you. I want to make sure you guys are feeling loved and supported along the way, whether you're in the program or not. And that goes right into what I want to talk about today. A lot of these clients that we've talked about so far have talked about identifying emotion and learning that it's something that we can sit with and learn and process from. And today I wanted to talk about that exact thing. I want to talk about emotional agility. Now, have you ever felt as though you are hijacked by your emotions? Maybe anger took over in a conversation and you felt out of control, or maybe anxiety kept you up all night long, or sadness made it hard for you to even get out of bed. Now, we all experience powerful emotion, but the difference between getting stuck and feeling hijacked and moving forward often comes down to one skill, which is having emotional agility. So today we're going to dive into exactly that, what it means, why it matters, and some practices that we can have and help you with so you can develop them right now. I want you to think about agility in sports, okay? Now, an agile athlete can pivot quickly, adapt to unexpected moves, and stay balanced while on the playing field. Emotional agility is that exact same thing, but within ourselves. It's very important to understand and notice your emotions, having the ability to notice your emotions and create space between you and them. And then you choose how to respond to them instead of reacting on autopilot. Now, I want to be very, very clear with you guys really quick before we move on. Emotional agility does not mean you're going to suppress emotion. It does not mean we're going to ignore them or force yourself into feeling positive and feeling happy. It's just not real life, right? It's all about recognizing emotion for what they really are. That emotion is data. It's not directives. Anger might be telling you that a boundary has been crossed. Anxiety might be pointing you out on uncertainty or risk that you may be experiencing. And sadness might be highlighting that loss or longing for something. Now, it's very important. It's key to notice these emotions without becoming the emotion. Psychologist Susan David, who popularized this term and coined it, said, emotions are signposts. They point you to things that we care about. Now, if you can read those signs without letting them drive the car, that's what emotional agility is. It's all about still having control of the emotions that come up during your day. Now, let's be completely honest. Most of us are naturally not very emotionally agile, and that is totally fine. I'm still one of them, right? Me talking about this is something that I'm still learning as well. But I think it's a beautiful concept to talk about, and let's learn together. We tend to do one of two things. We either get hooked by our emotions, which is when anger, shame, or fear grabs the wheel, and suddenly we're saying or doing things that we regret. Or We avoid or suppress emotion, which is when we numb it out, scroll endlessly, we binge Netflix, we go on a shopping spree because we can drown our emotions out that way and hoping that they disappear by doing these things. And most of the time, it just doesn't work. Now, both of these strategies, either over identifying or avoiding these emotions, will just lead to more pain in the long run. But when we practice emotional agility, something will shift within us. You're going to start to experience less reactivity, which means instead of blowing up in an argument, you're going to pause, take a deep breath, and respond intentionally. Or resilience, you can finally feel these big emotions without collapsing under them and feeling this anxiousness. Or alignment, you make choices that reflect your values instead of your temporary feelings. In other words, emotional agility is the difference between living at the mercy of your emotions and living with mastery of them. It's so important to finally learn how to accept, understand, and process our emotions. Now that leads the question, how in the world can we practice this? How in the world can we practice this if we've never done it before, if we're not very emotionally agile? Now there are 4 steps that we can use today that can help you when you are feeling overwhelmed. The first one, show up to your emotion. Okay, what this looks like is instead of pushing them away or pretending that an emotion does not exist, let's acknowledge it. We talk about this all the time in the program. Let's acknowledge that emotion instead of pushing it down, just like the beach ball underwater, right? It's going to eventually pop up even worse than it was before. So instead, say to yourself, I'm noticing sadness or I'm feeling anger right now. Creating this distance between you and the emotion can bring so much peace and healthy processing for you, okay? Because you are not the emotion. You're the one that's noticing the emotion. Now, step 2, step out, okay? Stepping out of the story that your mind is creating can be so helpful. Our brains love to create this narrative of, oh, I always mess up, or no one respects me, or any other narrative or story that our brain loves to create, right? Stepping out means that you're going to see the story without blindly believing it, right? It's almost like, Sarah talks a lot about how we can sit up on the hill and watch traffic go by, right? We don't have to do anything with our thoughts. We don't have to do anything with our emotions. We're just watching them go by. Every once in a while, oh, look, there's a red car that goes by. There's a blue car that goes by. All right, that same idea applies here. You might even say, I'm having the thought that nobody respects me, or I'm having the thought of I always mess up, right? These little shifts can loosen the grip of what an emotion can have on you sometimes. Step 3, walk yourself through the why. Okay, ask yourself, what do I really care about right now? Or what emotion is coming up and why is it coming up? Emotions often point to values. And if we can finally allow ourselves to accept an emotion, understand it, process it, our values, beliefs, and actions are going to become aligned if we can work on this. Obviously, it takes time, but it's something that is in the future and is so beneficial when you can finally become capable of processing your emotion this way. I'll give you an example of feeling anger, right? If you have anger over an unfair treatment, you might highlight that and recognize that your values are trying to point you towards justice. Or if you're feeling sad after a breakup, that might show you that your values lie very strongly with love, connection, and relationship. So when you know your why behind an emotion, you can respond in a way that's true to your deepest values instead of reacting to a surface level emotion. Number 4, moving forward. We talk so much in the center and obviously on this podcast about learning and moving on. Okay. Taking small steps, value driven actions, they don't have to be these big, grandiose things. Okay. If you're feeling anxious about a presentation, your values might be growth and courage, right? A value driven step could be I'm going to prepare well. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to show up. I can do this, even though I feel a little nervous. Moving forward, understanding where you are coming from can bring so much healing to you through certain emotions, especially the ones that are a little bit trickier to understand or process. Now, I want to make this super practical, okay? How can we build emotional agility in a daily life? Okay, here's a few quick practices that can really help you. You may have heard them in a podcast. If you're in the center, you've heard them here. I talk about them quite a bit. I think they're really important, but here's a few of them that I listed for you so you guys can get some direction here, okay? The first one is name it to tame it. I've talked about this a couple weeks ago on another podcast about, let's name the emotion and then we can really start to understand what it's coming from. It's literally putting your words to what you're feeling. And obviously that's easier said than done, right? But putting your words to what you're feeling. And research actually shows that labeling an emotion will reduce its intensity, which is really, really interesting. Another one is pause and breathe, right? Sarah touches a ton on stop, drop, and breathe. So let's do that. Even 10-second pause can interrupt an autopilot reaction that you may have with a certain emotion. Journaling, writing down your emotions and the stories that are attached to them can be so beneficial. Seeing them on paper and really writing them down instead of just thinking about it can really help you out and help you step away from the emotion for a minute and really understand what's going on. Another one is values checks, right? Or value checks. Asking yourself once a day, did I act in line with what matters most to me today? Right? That simple question at the end of the day can really help you understand where you are lying each and every day. Now, the last one is my favorite one. It's mindfulness. Okay. I put down here, I want mindfulness / being present and connected, right? Even 2 minutes of noticing your breathing, getting into your environment, becoming present can train yourself to observe rather than to react, be given a certain emotion, which can be amazing tool. If you guys know me at all, you know that I am a sucker for becoming present. Obviously, I'm still working on it as well, but myself working through the program a couple years ago, learning how to become present was the number one tool that helped me. And I know that it can help you too. These small and consistent practices are going to help you rewire your brain to handle emotions with agility. So this is the last little thing I want to wrap up really quick with you guys. Emotional agility does not mean that you're never going to feel upset, you're never going to feel scared, or you're never going to feel sad. But what it means is that you're going to learn how to navigate these emotions skillfully instead of letting them run the show, instead of letting them drive the car. Emotions are part of being human. And I feel like, culturally, we're raised in a culture where if you're not happy, what's wrong with you, right? Let's start to redefine that. It's okay to have a crummy day. If you wake up and you're not feeling great, that's okay. Let's work through it and let's learn about it instead of saying, oh, I'm just going to fake this smile all day long. Because that's not normal, right? It's okay to be human. These emotions don't define who you are. They don't have to dictate your choices and the way you live your life. So this week, I want you to give it a shot. The next time a strong emotion comes up or a small emotion comes up, I want you to pause, name, and step out of the story that you have been writing for yourself in your brain. I want you to connect with your values, become present, and take one small step that can reflect who you want to become. I touch on this all the time. I think a couple podcasts ago, I touched on this idea how we can't live by who we have told ourselves we are, right? If I say, oh, I struggle with pornography, it's going to be very difficult for me to all of a sudden change this belief of, oh, you know what? I can overcome this, right? But if I live in future focus, I believe in myself. If I tell myself, hey, I'm one who's learning how to overcome pornography, it completely changes the game. This is how we can move from being controlled by your emotions and living with intentionality and freedom by living in future focus, becoming present and connected with yourself. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope this episode resonates with you. I hope you guys can share it with other people. Listen to it over and over again if you want. And remember that you are not broken here. These emotions that you are feeling are normal and natural. We just need to learn how to process them. If you guys want to learn more on how to process them, if you want to get coached about emotional agility, if you want to get coached about anything else that comes up, jump into the program. I'm here for you, and I want to make sure that you guys are feeling okay and having your best foot forward every single time. Thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful week.
I want to invite you to come and listen to my free class, How to Overcome Pornography for Good Without Using Willpower. We talk about how to stop giving into urges without pure willpower or relying on phone filters so that you can actually stop wanting pornography. We talk about how to stop giving up after a few weeks or months, and spoiler alert, the answer isn't have more willpower. And then lastly, we talk about how to make a life without porn easily sustainable and permanent. If you're trying to quit porn, this class is a game changer. So you can go and sign up at sarahbrewer.com/masterclass, and it is totally free.